Right now, a winter storm leaves southern Wisconsin covered in a layer of ice, and it doesn't appear to be going anywhere soon now that the bitter cold is back. And the Supreme Court blocks a controversial abortion law out of Louisiana hours before it was to go into effect.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Kane. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 Now this Friday afternoon. By now, whatever's frozen on the pavement might be impossible to scrape off. If that's the case, you are still required to lay down sand on the pavement. With temperatures not getting out of the single digits today, salt is not going to work. Madison residents typically have until noon the day after a storm to clear the sidewalks, but we're told that won't be enforced until crews can take care of city sidewalks. The city's offering free sand to Madison residents. Here's a list of free sand locations for those living on the east side, and here's the list of free sand locations on the west side. Those are coming up. There we go. We'll be sure to post both of these on our website, channel3000.com. And heads up for Sun Prairie residents, there was a water main break near C.H. Burt Elementary School. The water to the school will be shut off for the rest of the day. Parents are asked to pick up students by 12:15. The school will only release students to parents, guardians, and emergency contacts in Infinity Campus. If they're not able to get them, students will be sent to Token Springs Elementary School for the rest of the day. They'll then be shuttled back to C.H. Burt at the end of the day to take their regular transportation home. Let's head over to the Weather Center now. Meteorologist Chris Reese is here. We'll look at our first alert forecast. Kind of a quick freeze out there with all that slush.
Yeah, certainly a quick freeze out there. Temperatures are very cold as well. The temperature right now, 3 degrees here in Madison. We do have those winds coming out of the west at 8 miles per hour as we speak. But temperatures are mainly in the single digits for a lot of us. Some of us right around 0 right now. Janesville, one of those warmer spots at 9, 11 as you work your way over towards Kenosha. But we have really seen a drop in those temperatures as we've gone through the past 24 hours. In some cases by 35 degrees. So yes, a powerhouse of a cold front certainly moved its way on through. We zoom out across the upper Midwest and we really do see the overall temperature change. But in fact, here's how things are shaping up. That cold front now along the eastern seaboard, but cold air is allowed to pour in behind that as an Arctic region of high pressure takes over. That means temperatures are going to be dropping pretty substantially as we go through the night. I mean, wind chills are already as much as 30 below zero as you work your way up towards International Falls. So be prepared for the chill, my folks. Wind chills staying as much as 10 degrees below zero as we go through the next 12 hours, dropping back to 20 degrees below zero overnight. And then actual air temperatures will fall to as much as 7 degrees below zero by the time we are waking up tomorrow morning. But Mark, if the cold was not enough, we could be tracking more than one additional chance for ice and snow as we go through our forecast. Your full first alert forecast is coming up in a few minutes.
It just keeps coming, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
From the guy who wanted winter.
Yeah, it's certainly here.
You got it.
Yes.
All right, Chris, we'll see you in a few minutes. Janesville is among the many school districts in our area trying to figure out how to make up for lost class time because of the weather we've seen. The Janesville Gazette reports that they have to make up for 6 missed days at this point, since the district only had 2 built-in snow days. The superintendent and staff are going to meet today to find a way to make up those days. One option he's considering is moving professional development days to the end of the school year so classes could be held on those unscheduled days instead. And the state's Department of Public Instruction will not scale back classroom hours despite all these closures we've seen. Most students are required to be in class more than 1,000 hours a year. The Verona School District is also working out a plan to make up for 18 hours at the high school level. And Madison schools are holding classes today, which was originally a staff-only day. We'll have another update on this weekend's weather coming up for you in our first alert forecast in just a few minutes. In other news, an off-duty security guard in Minneapolis faces attempted murder charges after police say he shot a school bus driver in a fit of road rage. 31-year-old Kenneth Walter Lilly was 2 cars ahead of the bus on the interstate as traffic moved to a crawl in the snow on Wednesday. Traffic camera video shows him getting out of the car, shooting into the bus's windshield and hitting the 78-year-old driver in the arm. That man is recovered in the hospital. The only child on the bus at the time was not hurt. According to the criminal complaint, Lily's car and the bus had brushed together moments earlier as the bus was merging onto the freeway. The Supreme Court blocked a controversial abortion law hours before it was to go into effect. The 5-4 vote last night temporarily blocked the Louisiana law that critics say would force 2 of the state's 3 abortion clinics to close. Jan Crawford is at the Supreme Court in Washington with how this order unfolded.
This could be the court's first real test of abortion rights with new conservative justices. And it involves a 2014 law from Louisiana that required abortion clinic doctors to have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals. The court struck down an almost identical law from Texas back in 2016 by a 5-4 vote. But last night, conservative Chief Justice John Roberts sided with the court's 4 liberals to kind of put this case on hold while the court considers whether or not it's going to hear these issues. The court's 4 conservative justices, including new Justice Brett Kavanaugh, dissented. Justice Kavanaugh wrote separately to say he would allow the law to take effect, but if it showed later that it was having an undue effect on a woman's right to have an abortion, he would be willing to rethink it. Now, this is just a temporary hold on this law. This doesn't necessarily tell us much. These justices still have to decide whether they're going to hear this case sometime next fall. Jan Crawford, CBS News, the Supreme Court.
And while Justice Brett Kavanaugh cast his vote with the conservatives on the court, he wrote separately to explain his thinking. The other conservative justices did not join Kavanaugh's dissent. Well, for the first time today, a House committee led by Democrats is questioning a member of President Trump's cabinet. In a prepared statement, Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker warned the Judiciary Committee he will not discuss his private conversations with the president. Whitaker says he has not talked about Special Counsel Robert Mueller to President Trump. Republicans say today's hearing has little to do with congressional oversight of the Department of Justice. Youth prisons in Wisconsin are about to get more staff and more money, even though they're supposed to shut down over the next few years. Wisconsin Public Radio reports Governor Tony Evers says there will be funding in the budget for extra staff at the Lincoln Hills Youth Prison. The governor has delayed the closure of that prison, along with Copper Lake, which Governor Walker had planned on closing by 2021. Evers says the construction of the new facilities was not considered in the solution for the troubled youth prison. So in the meantime, he wants to improve conditions for workers there. And there's more to come on News 3 at noon. Up next, we'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If you love lots of flavor and easy cleanup, then one-pot cooking is just what you need. Stick around and I'll share my new favorite. When we asked what kind of recipes you'd like to see more of, hearty one-pot dinners were a hands-down favorite. So guess what? This year, you'll be seeing lots and lots of dinners that are easy, comforting, and made in one pot. Today, we're starting with a braised Mediterranean pot roast that is to die for. We start by heating some oil in a Dutch oven or soup pot. Once the oil's hot, we sear a chuck roast on all sides. Then we add a couple of chopped onions, some celery, and a load of garlic. After we saute this for a few minutes, we add some Italian-style stewed tomatoes, a good amount of red wine, a handful of chopped parsley, and a bunch of spices. Once it comes to a boil, we lower the heat and let it cook covered until the meat is fork tender. Now, this takes a bit of time. Even though the stovetop does all the work, you may want to make this over the weekend and simply warm it up after a long, hard day. When I first tried this, it was love at first bite. The flavor was rich, yet not overpowering, and the meat practically melted in my mouth. To get the recipe for our braised Mediterranean beef, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a one-pot easy way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Thank you, Howard. The sun is shining, but the bitter cold is back. What we can expect for the rest of the weekend next on First Alert Forecast. Our Call for Action phone bank is open right now, ready to take on your consumer issue. And call our hotline. Volunteers will help you with any consumer complaints. The number 608-270-2833. The service is open every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between 11 and 1. Wall Street remains rattled over trade talks, and IKEA moves from do-it-yourself to rent-it-yourself. Here's Diane King Hall with today's Money Watch report.
Wall Street continues to focus on trade talks between the U.S. and China, but investors remain worried about progress, so stocks sold off once again in early trade. Social media users are cheering Jeff Bezos' decision to go public with what he is calling an extortion attempt. Bezos unleashed a bombshell blog post on Medium titled, "No thank you, Mr. Pecker," referring to David Pecker, CEO of the parent company of the National Enquirer. He accuses the publication of trying to blackmail him, threatening to go public with intimate images of Bezos and his mistress. As for investor reaction, shares of Amazon fell under mild pressure. Some deal news is in focus. BB&T and SunTrust announced a $66 billion merger. The combined company will create the 6th largest retail bank in the U.S. The deal will eliminate both company names and headquarters and create a new bank based in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the largest U.S. bank union since the 2008 financial crisis. And IKEA is trying out a new revenue stream, furniture rental. The do-it-yourself company announced a new service allowing customers to lease furniture beginning in Switzerland. The program will offer a chance to temporarily rent higher-cost products, initially for business customers. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, head to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Diane King Hall.
Diane, thank you. At the noon hour, on Wall Street, the Dow is down 177 points. The NASDAQ off 34. The S&P 500 also down about 13.5. Let's check in now with Q106 Farm Director Pam Yockey on this frozen Friday.
Yeah, very frozen out there. And like you said before, if you didn't clean it up yesterday, you're not going to get it today. So what we're getting today, though, Mark, is a lot of information from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. These are backlogged reports that were held because of the government shutdown. Today, the big one, World Ag Supply Demand Report. The market was anxious about this one. It's not just about the production that we saw in 2018. It's also about the projections on what China most namedly is going to come to the United States looking for in 2019. So the average estimates as far as corn and soybeans show a smaller crop last year than 2017. Average corn yield came in at about 176 bushel to the acre. Soybeans about 51.6 bushel to the acre. Those numbers both lower than USDA's November projections and pretty much right in range with what traders were expecting. But the estimates on what they believe China is going to be coming to the United States shopping for were a little disappointing. So our markets are actually lower on the midday. Our corn, our beans, our wheat, everything trending lower now. Actually, I shouldn't say wheat. Wheat's actually held on a little bit because of the damage that could potentially be done on our winter wheat seedings with all this frigid weather. But corn and beans are definitely trading lower on the midday. Dairy, well, one big dairy story that Wisconsin will be talking about is the record number of entries that are in for the 2019 U.S. Championship Cheese Contest. It's going to be up in Green Bay at Lambeau Field March 5th through the 7th. 2,555 entries from across the United States. Remember, that's not just cheese, that's also butter and yogurt. They had to expand categories to reflect consumer preferences. That's part of the reason why the entries are up more than 11% since the last time the state hosted in 2017. Hopefully, our Wisconsin cheese producers still in a great position to bring home more blue than anybody else. Barrel cheese today was unchanged in Chicago at $137 1/4. 40-pound block cheese up $1 3/4, $152 3/4, and double A butter today penny stronger at $229 1/2 per pound. 2,555 samples, my friends. Think about that.
Lambeau Field and cheese. What could be better?
Oh, I'm telling you, that's heaven to me. I'll be there.
All right, have a great weekend, Pam.
Thanks.
Let's head over to the Weather Center now. Chris Reese, what is that noise that our houses are making?
Yeah, you've heard of earthquakes, you've heard of moonquakes, you heard of markquakes, but now get ready for ice quakes, my friends. That's a lot of the big booms that a lot of us have been hearing. And here's what happens. You have water that freezes underground or along the foundation of a house. And as that water freezes, it begins to expand. That creates that loud boom that a lot of us have heard. But then we also had a flash freeze yesterday, and I'm learning that's a new term for a lot of Wisconsinites. And a flash freeze is essentially just rapidly falling temperatures from above freezing to below freezing. And sometimes this can just happen in an hour or two. And so that occurred yesterday, and that just freezes any liquid that is out there very quickly. Now, another term that we are used to here is wind chills. And we've been watching those wind chills today really be more than 10 degrees below zero. In fact, the wind chill here in Madison right now, -10, -13 as you work your way over towards Watertown. Lone Rock has a wind chill of -14 right now. So folks, it is certainly chilly out there. That is for sure. The actual air temperature at 3, winds coming out of the west at 8 miles per hour. And as long as we keep that wind around, folks, we're going to have that wind chill as well. Air temperatures around the state right now are pretty much anywhere from 0 towards 3 to 5 or 9 degrees. Our friends in Janesville, one of the warmer spots. Same for Milwaukee and Kenosha at 10 and 11 right now. So as we go through the next 12 hours, expect those temperatures to continue to come down, going back below freezing, especially during the overnight hours. And that's because we have this Arctic high right on top of us. That cold front from yesterday, now along the East Coast, pushing that milder air on out of here. That just opens up the door for that colder air to come in from Canada. But I'll tell you what, I want to focus on these 2 regions of low pressure on the west coast. That is getting ready to bring a winter storm to places like Seattle, which really aren't even used to seeing winter storms. But here's the deal. A lot of colder air is being supplied into this setup from Canada. These 2 regions of low pressure will essentially merge over one and then take a track towards the Great Lakes. And we're going to go into a pattern that will offer this up several times as we go through the next couple of weeks. So let's go ahead and get you started with the number of snow chances that we have at least over the next 7 days. Starting through the weekend, we will be dry on Saturday, temperatures around 20. Clouds begin to increase on Sunday. Here we are late Sunday morning, and throughout the day we have that first round of snow that'll move on through here. Now this particular model doesn't go beyond Sunday, but here is the GFS model. It goes into early next week. We get our Sunday system out of here. Here we go again. This is Monday and into Tuesday with more snow and then perhaps even some additional freezing rain and sleet coming into the picture before going back over to more snow. Then here we are Wednesday into Thursday with perhaps another system moving its way in. So count them. 1, 2, 3 different snow chances that we have over the next 7 days, along with a pretty solid probability of being above average when it comes to precipitation. But remember, I told you about that storm track with systems coming from the Pacific and working their way up towards the Great Lakes. Well, on the northern side of that, that's where you have the better potential for temperatures to be below average. And so that's something that we're going to be watching very closely for perhaps more chances for wintry weather as we go towards the middle and end of the month as well. So we do have an alert day for today. That does continue, especially with those temperatures that are being in the single digits. Sunshine for Saturday, but we're staying on a colder note for Saturday. We're watching that snow chance into the day on Sunday. Tuesday could be a heavy snow day, maybe some freezing rain mixed in. We'll watch that. Another possibility of that coming right after Valentine's Day.
Wow. It's winter.
Was that enough information in a weather segment?
Starting with the ice quake. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that's
Chris.
a lot.
Thanks, Chris.
My pleasure.
We'll be right back. A teenager from Spain has turned his love for Legos into a life-changing invention. Tina Kraus has the story from London.
David Aguilar has been building Legos since he was 5, locking pieces together with just one hand because he was born without his lower arm.
As a child, I was very nervous to be in front of other guys because I was different.
But that didn't stop the Spanish teenager from building a brighter future.
This is the first prosthetic. I call it the MK1 because it looks like an Iron Man arm.
The fully functional robotic arm, made out of Legos, bends and flexes and is powered by an electric motor.
I can move it like this.
The 19-year-old bioengineering student has built 4 models of the Lego limb. The young inventor runs a YouTube channel under the nickname Hand Solo to show people with disabilities that nothing is impossible.
I can understand how people feel when they feel bad about themselves.
Once David finishes college, his dream is to make more Lego prosthetics for those who can't afford traditional replacements.
To make them feel like a normal person.
David expects his obsession with Lego to continue. After all, it's now part of him. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
Remarkable young man. That's our time for now. We'll see you back here at 4. In the meantime, have a great afternoon.